Kale wiped his hands on the edge of his uniform and stared at the massive set of armor before him. The polished metal gleamed under the bright lights of the starship's ceremonial chamber. This was no ordinary armor. It belonged to Queen Zira, ruler of the Xylarian Empire. Every plate was etched with symbols of victory and strength, every joint a masterpiece of alien engineering. Kyle had been warned about the Queen's strict standards. One slip, and it could be a sign of disrespect, his supervisor had said. The Xylarians read meaning into everything. Every move you make matters. He swallowed hard. He had never polished armor like this before. Not human-sized armor, let alone Xylarian ceremonial armor, which was twice as heavy as he expected. Kale knelt carefully, holding a soft cloth in his hands and began to work on the lower plates. His mind raced. Every time he saw a reflection of the Queen's golden sigil in the metal, he felt his heart jump. "Stay focused, Kyle," he whispered to himself. "Just clean it. Don't drop. Don't slip." The polish made the floor slightly slippery. Kale leaned over to reach a hard-to-clean edge, and suddenly his foot slid. In a flailing moment, his hands missed the armor, and he toppled sideways with a loud clatter. The cloth flew across the chamber, and Kale landed on the ground with a thud. Time seemed to freeze. The sound of the fall echoed through the chamber. Kale's face burned with embarrassment. He could hear whispers from the Queen's advisors. He wanted to disappear right there. Then he felt it, a piercing gaze from across the room. Queen Zira herself was standing at the center of the chamber. Her tall, elegant figure was almost regal, enough to make the air shimmer. Her eyes, sharp and golden, were locked on him. "Do you know what that means?" she asked, her voice calm but commanding. The words made Kale's blood run cold. Kale's mind raced. I slipped," he said, quickly, trying to explain, but his voice sounded small, almost foolish. The Queen raised a single hand, and the room fell completely silent. Not a whisper, not a footstep. Even the machines in the chamber seemed to pause. Kyle felt every eye in the room on him, waiting. Queen Zira's eyes studied him. "A slip is more than a fall," she said. "It is a message. In Xylarian culture, it can mean weakness, carelessness, or disrespect." Kale's stomach twisted. He had no idea the act of falling could be seen as disrespect. He had only wanted to clean the armor carefully, to show he could do his job. But now it seemed that one simple mistake might ruin everything. I didn't mean any disrespect, Your Majesty," Kyle said, bowing his head as much as he dared. "It was an accident." The Queen's lips pressed together, her expression unreadable. Around her, the advisors whispered among themselves. Kyle could not understand their language, but their body language told him the same thing: doubt, suspicion, judgment. "Accidents are different from ignorance," she said slowly. "Tell me, human, are you aware of what you are handling? Do you understand its history and meaning?" Kyle shook his head. I know it is important. I know it belongs to you. I want to care for it properly. I want to do my job well, you see." Queen studied him for a long moment. Then she turned and gestured toward a massive display screen on the wall. A holographic image of the armor appeared, showing intricate details, glowing symbols, and mechanical joints that moved like living limbs. "This armor is not just metal and technology," she explained. "It is a symbol. Every mark, every line, carries the weight of our victories. To mishandle it is to dishonor everything we have achieved. And yet, humans are not like us." Kyle listened closely, nodding. His mind raced to understand. I will try to learn. I want to understand." The Queen's eyes softened slightly, but only slightly. "Trying is not enough," she said. "You must prove yourself. Humans are unpredictable, but perhaps there is value in your ways." Kyle blinked. "Value? You mean I can fix this?" The Queen looked at him carefully. "That depends. Can you handle more than polishing metal? Can you repair what others have failed to repair? Can you think differently when faced with a challenge? Kyle straightened. His fear was still there, but now it was joined by determination. I can try, Your Majesty. I will do whatever I must. A faint smile touched the Queen's lips. Good. Then your next task is not polishing. It is repairing. She pointed to a strange device tucked in the corner of the chamber. It was old, alien, and unlike anything Kale had ever seen. Its purpose was unclear, even to the most learned Xylarians. Kale walked over slowly, examining the device. Its panels were covered with symbols he didn't understand. Small lights blinked randomly. Wires twisted around each other in a chaotic tangle. It looked impossible to fix. The Queen's voice stopped him. This device has not worked in centuries. Many have tried and failed. You will repair it, or at least you will try. If you succeed, perhaps you will earn a place of respect among my people. If you fail, well, your slip was only the beginning of your lesson. Kyle's heart pounded, but he felt a spark of hope. This was his chance. Not just to prove he was careful, but to show that humans could do something others could not. His mind focused. He looked at the device as if it were a puzzle waiting to be solved. I understand, he said. I will repair it. The Queen studied him for a long moment. Then she nodded once. We shall see, human. We shall see. As Kale began examining the alien machinery, he felt a mix of fear and excitement. He had fallen once, and the Queen had noticed. Now he had a chance to rise, not just from the floor, but in the eyes of an entire alien empire. For the first time, Kale realized that being human meant more than being strong or fast. It meant thinking differently, taking risks, and daring to try what others could not. The hum of the starship around him seemed to grow louder. Kale knelt beside the alien device, his hands ready, his mind sharp, and his heart full of determination. One slip had led to this moment. Now it was up to him to prove what it really meant. Kale sat cross-legged in the quiet chamber, staring at the alien device. The blinking lights and strange symbols made no sense to him. Every time he thought he understood a pattern, it shifted, as if the device had a mind of its own. He felt the weight of the Queen's gaze on him, even though she had returned to her throne across the room. You must understand something, human, Queen Zyra said, her voice calm yet firm. Slipping while handling my armor was more than a simple mistake. It carries meaning. In Xylarian culture, your fall could signal carelessness, weakness, or even dishonor. Kyle swallowed hard. I did not know. I was only trying to clean it carefully. The Queen studied him. I know, but intention is not always enough. Symbols have power here. One action can speak louder than words. One small slip could change perception. Of you, of your species, even of your allies. Kale's mind raced. He had always believed humans were judged by their deeds, by what they could do. But here, in this alien world, even an accident had meaning. It was unsettling, yet strangely fascinating. I understand, he said carefully. I want to learn. Please, teach me what it means to handle this honorably. Queen Zyra's eyes softened slightly. Very well. You will learn not through words alone, but through action. Actions show character more clearly than speech. That is why I have given you the device to repair. Its purpose is obscure to almost everyone, yet it holds power. To repair it is to prove more than skill. It proves understanding, patience, and ingenuity. Kale nodded. He had faced many machines in his life, some complex, some simple. But nothing like this. Its design was unlike anything humans had ever built. Panels shifted slightly when touched. Symbols glowed faintly and then vanished. Wires moved almost as if alive. He had no instructions, no manuals, and no guides. This device has not worked for centuries, Queen Zyra said. Many have tried and failed. Some have even harmed themselves attempting it. You are human. That may be your advantage or your danger. Kyle blinked. My advantage? Humans are unpredictable, the Queen said. Where Xylarians follow tradition, humans improvise. Where Xylarians repeat what works, humans try what seems impossible. That unpredictability can be strength or weakness. We shall see which you possess. Kale's heartbeat quickened. A mix of fear and determination filled him. He could fail. He could embarrass himself in front of the Queen. But he could also succeed, in a way no Xylarian ever could. He leaned closer to the device. He observed its surface, running his fingers gently over the metal. The symbols glowed faintly under his touch, like they were responding to his curiosity. Kyle realized something. The device seemed to react to thought, to intention, not just to mechanics. "Focus, Kale," he whispered to himself. "Think like a human. Observe. Experiment. Don't panic. Don't rush." He began experimenting carefully. Pressing one panel caused a small light to blink. Adjusting a wire made a tiny motor hum. He took notes mentally, remembering patterns, learning how the device responded to him. Every success was tiny, but it gave him hope. Meanwhile, the Queen observed silently. Her expression was unreadable. Kale could feel her measuring him, not just for skill, but for patience, courage, and character. He realized then that this test was about more than mechanics. It was about proving himself as a human among the Xylarians. Hours passed. Kale's hands ached, his mind raced, but he never stopped. Every failure taught him. Kale studied the alien device with growing fascination. Its panels, wires, and glowing symbols seemed chaotic at first, but he sensed a hidden order beneath the complexity. Every small adjustment brought a response, almost as if the machine were alive and testing him in return. He wiped sweat from his forehead. The hum of the starship around him felt louder than before, almost like it was echoing his heartbeat. Queen Zyra had left him alone in the chamber for now, but he could feel her watchful presence in the air. Every decision he made mattered. "Think like a human," he whispered to himself. "Observe, adapt, and act carefully." Kyle began experimenting again. He noticed that when he pressed one glowing panel and held it in a precise sequence, the device made a low humming sound. A small light blinked rhythmically. He adjusted another wire, and a hidden section of the machine slid open, revealing more complicated components inside. It was unlike any technology he had ever seen. The device seemed to combine mechanics, energy, and something almost organic. Kale realized that brute force would never work here. Patience and observation were the keys. Hours passed. Kale's hands were sore, his eyes tired, but he refused to stop. Each failure taught him something new. Each success, no matter how small, built his confidence. He began to see the patterns, how symbols responded to gestures, how energy flowed through the wires, and how the device seemed to anticipate his next move. Humans are unpredictable. Queen Zyra's voice echoed softly in his memory. He repeated the words to himself. Perhaps unpredictability could be his advantage. Kale tried something bold. He combined movements and touches in a way no Xylarian would dare. The device reacted instantly, its lights glowing brighter, its humming stronger. Panels shifted smoothly. Almost welcoming his approach, Kale felt a thrill of excitement mixed with fear. He was pushing the limits, but he also knew this was what the Queen wanted, proof of human creativity and courage. Suddenly, a small spark leaped from one of the energy conduits. Kyle froze. The device could be dangerous if handled incorrectly. But instead of panicking, he carefully traced the source of the spark. He noticed that it only occurred when the sequence was slightly off. Adjusting his actions by tiny increments, he eliminated the spark entirely. "That's it," he whispered, amazed at his own solution. "Observe, adapt, act," he continued. Every movement deliberate, every thought focused. Slowly, piece by piece, the device began to respond as intended. A small panel opened fully, revealing a glowing crystal-like core. Energy pulsed through it, and the low hum of the machine turned into a steady, rhythmic sound. Kale realized something incredible. He had begun to understand the device's logic. It was not random. It was a complex system, designed to react to thought, intention, and pattern recognition. No Xylarian manual could explain this. Only human creativity, flexible thinking, and intuition could succeed. Hours turned into what felt like days. Kale's uniform was smudged, his hands sore, but he refused to leave. The room grew quiet except for the humming of the machine and his own careful breathing. The challenge had become more than a test. It had become a puzzle that he was determined to solve. Then finally, the crystal core glowed brighter than ever. The device emitted a low pulse of energy, flowing through the wires and panels in a perfect rhythm. Kale's hands trembled as he adjusted the last sequence of symbols. A soft chime echoed through the chamber and the machine powered down peacefully, as if acknowledging his success. Kale sank to his knees, exhausted but exhilarated. He had done it. Against all odds, the human engineer had repaired an ancient Xylarian device that had not worked for centuries. His heart raced with pride, but he also felt a sense of humility. He knew the Queen's judgment was still to come. Queen Zyra entered the chamber silently. Her expression was calm, but her golden eyes glimmered with interest. "You have done well, human," she said. "Most Xylarians would have given up long before this moment. Yet you persisted. You adapted. You understood the machine in ways few could." Kale bowed his head. "Thank you, Your Majesty. I just tried to learn." The Queen studied him for a moment, then nodded. Trying is the first step. Understanding is the second. And success is the proof. Her advisors murmured among themselves, clearly impressed. Kyle realized that he had gained more than just the Queen's attention. He had earned a measure of respect from an alien species that had once considered humans weak and limited. But the moment of triumph was short-lived. Alarms suddenly blared throughout the starship. Red lights flashed. Kale looked around in confusion. The machine's repair had triggered an unexpected reaction. "Energy fluctuation in the shield arrays," a Xylarian technician shouted. "Unknown source detected. Possible hostile presence." Kyle's heart pounded. His repair had worked, but it had also drawn the attention of enemy forces near the starship. He felt a mix of fear and responsibility. If he had miscalculated, the ship could be in serious danger. Queen Zyra remained calm. "It seems human that your actions have consequences beyond your imagination," she said. "But consequences are not always bad. Sometimes they reveal strength you did not know you possessed." Kale took a deep breath. "I will do whatever is needed to protect the ship." The Queen studied him, her golden eyes sharp and approving. "Good. That is why you are here. Humans are unpredictable, yes, but courage and ingenuity, that is what makes you valuable." Kale realized then that the challenge had not just been about repairing a machine. It had been about proving that humans could think differently, act decisively, and adapt under pressure. One slip on the floor had led to this moment, one careful action at a time. He looked back at the device. It had been repaired, but its energy pulse now flowed outward, forming a protective barrier around part of the starship. Kyle felt a thrill of pride. His work was not just a repair, it was a contribution to the ship's defense. "Queen Zyra's voice broke through his thoughts. "Prepare yourself, human. The galaxy watches carefully, and those who act boldly are remembered. You have taken the first step. The next step will show if humans truly belong among us." Kale nodded. He had faced failure, danger, and uncertainty. Yet he had prevailed. One challenge had become another, and he was ready. Whatever came next, he would face it with the same human determination, ingenuity, and courage that had brought him this far. The starship hummed steadily as Kale walked toward the command bridge. His hands were still marked with smudges from the device he had repaired, and his uniform bore signs of the long hours he had spent kneeling over alien machinery. Despite the exhaustion, Kale felt a strange sense of pride. He had done what no Xylarian engineer could. He had succeeded where generations had failed. Queen Zyra's gaze followed him as he entered the bridge. The officers and crew glanced at him with curiosity, some with skepticism. Humans were still rare in Xylarian society, and most aliens regarded them as fragile, unpredictable, or unfit for serious responsibility. Kale had known this. Yet today something had shifted. "Report," Queen Zira commanded, her voice cutting through the low hum of the bridge. Kyle took a deep breath. "Your Majesty, the device has been repaired and is functioning at full capacity. It is stabilizing a portion of the ship's defensive energy systems." A murmur ran through the bridge. Some Xylarian engineers whispered to each other, clearly impressed. One officer stepped forward, nodding in acknowledgement. "The human repaired it? Alone?" Kyle straightened. "Yes, ma'am. I observed its patterns and adjusted the sequence to match the energy flow. I used human logic and intuition to solve what others could not." Queen Zira's eyes glimmered with approval. "Indeed, humans are often underestimated, but in moments of necessity, their unpredictability can become a unique advantage." Kale felt a warmth of recognition. He had always known that humans could do more than survive. They could adapt, think differently, and act decisively when it mattered most. The Queen's acknowledgement was more than praise. It was a statement to the entire bridge. Humans, despite appearances, could be indispensable. Suddenly, alarms blared throughout the starship. Red lights flashed as external sensors detected approaching enemy vessels. Kale's heart raced. His repair had worked, but the energy pulse from the device had also acted as a beacon, drawing attention from hostile forces. Enemy vessels approaching. "At high speed!" shouted a Xylarian officer. "They are closing in fast." Queen Zira remained calm, her golden eyes assessing the situation. "Prepare defenses." "And human," she said, turning to Kale. "It seems your repair has made us more visible. Your actions have consequences, both good and dangerous. Can you help stabilize the system under combat conditions?" Kale nodded. His hands moved instinctively to the repaired device. He tapped panels and adjusted wires, the machine responding immediately. The energy pulse extended outward, forming a partial defensive shield that could absorb incoming attacks. The bridge crew watched in awe. The device, once dormant for centuries, now served a vital role in the starship's defense. Kyle's human ingenuity had created a new advantage in the face of imminent danger. "Impressive," muttered one of the senior Xylarian engineers. "No Xylarian could have done that." Kale's heart swelled, but he kept his focus. The enemy vessels were approaching quickly, their energy The council chamber had quieted, but the tension in the room remained. Kyle stood tall, facing delegates from countless alien species. He had already demonstrated human ingenuity and courage, but one final challenge awaited. Some members of the council still doubted humans, questioning whether they were capable of responsibility on a galactic scale. Queen Zira approached, her golden eyes fixed on him. "Human, this is your final test. Words alone are not enough. Actions will speak. Show them what humans truly mean to the galaxy." Kyle nodded. He understood. It was not enough to speak or repair machines. The council wanted proof that humans could adapt, think, and act where others might fail. The chamber doors opened, revealing a large holographic map of a contested planetary system. Enemy fleets had gathered near an important colony. Their movements were precise, their numbers overwhelming. The council murmured in worry. Many species had struggled to defend the colony in the past. Kyle stepped forward. "Your Honors," he said, his voice steady. "I cannot promise that humans are the strongest or the fastest, but we can think differently. We can adapt. We can act when others hesitate. I want to show you a way to protect the colony, using strategy, ingenuity, and courage." He activated a control panel linked to the repaired device aboard the starship. Energy flowed outward in precise patterns, forming defensive shields around key positions in the planetary system. The holographic display showed the enemy fleet's attacks being deflected, their advances slowed by calculated interference. Gasps ran through the council chamber. The humans' unconventional methods were working, slowing, and disrupting enemy movements in ways that traditional tactics could not. Kale guided the energy flows with careful adjustments, predicting the enemy's next moves and countering them almost instinctively. Queen Zira's eyes glimmered with pride. Observe, delegates. Humans may lack physical power, but they compensate with creativity and quick thinking. Their adaptability can turn a hopeless situation into a victory. Kyle continued working, coordinating with the starship crew and the defensive systems. Each move demonstrated a unique approach, combining logic, intuition, and bold improvisation. The alien delegates watched in awe. Some whispered to each other, realizing that humans were not the weak, unpredictable species they had assumed. They were problem solvers, innovators, and allies capable of facing impossible odds. Suddenly, a Varelian delegate spoke sharply. Even if the human succeeds this time, it does not prove humans can be trusted. They are outsiders. Kyle turned to face him calmly. I am not asking for trust based on my species alone. I am asking for recognition based on action. Look at what we have achieved. The colony is safe because of observation, adaptation, and action, qualities humans use every day. Our strength is not in numbers or tradition, but in doing what must be done when it matters most. The chamber fell silent. Even the skeptical delegates could not deny the results displayed before them. The enemy fleet, once poised for destruction, was now stalled and disorganized. The energy shields guided by Kale's human ingenuity had shifted the balance of power. Queen Zira's voice rang out steady and commanding. Humans have demonstrated what they can do. Observe their courage, their creativity, their determination. Actions speak louder than tradition, louder than words. Today, humans have proven that they can contribute to the galaxy in ways we did not anticipate. Kyle exhaled, feeling both relief and pride. He had faced the Council's skepticism, navigated alien expectations, and acted decisively under pressure. One slip while cleaning armor had led to this moment. That single mistake had opened the door to opportunity, challenge, recognition, and now, proof. The Council erupted in applause, some tentative, some enthusiastic, but all acknowledging the truth. Humans were not weak or fragile. They were capable, adaptable, and willing to face the unknown with courage and ingenuity. Kyle felt a deep sense of fulfillment. He had proven that humanity could rise to meet challenges no one had believed they could. Queen Zira stepped beside him, placing a hand lightly on his shoulder. Kale, you have done more than repair a machine or guide a fleet. You have shown that humans can act decisively, think creatively, and inspire confidence. The galaxy will take notice. Kale bowed respectfully. Thank you, Your Majesty. I only did what humans do when they face a challenge. They adapt, they act, and they do not give up. A senior Xylarian delegate, previously skeptical, spoke. Perhaps we underestimated humans. Their ways are strange, but effective. Their courage is undeniable. Kale nodded. He understood then that the perception of humans had changed in that chamber, and it would ripple across the galaxy. One human had made a difference, and through example, all humans might be seen as valuable allies in the future. The Queen smiled, a rare warmth in her expression. This is only the beginning. Humans will be observed, tested, and challenged. But today, one human has earned respect, and that respect will grow as humans continue to show their worth. Kyle felt a surge of pride. One slip, one mistake, had started a journey. One repair had proven his skill. One demonstration had earned recognition. Now humans were no longer outsiders, they were contributors, innovators, and allies. The council members began discussing future alliances and strategies, often turning to Kale for insight. The human engineer, once underestimated, had become a symbol of potential courage and ingenuity. He realized that being human meant more than strength or speed. It meant the ability to face the unknown, adapt, and act with determination. As the session concluded, Kale looked at Queen Zira. She nodded approvingly. You have done well, human. Today, your people have taken a step forward in the eyes of the galaxy. Never forget that being human is more than a limitation. It is a strength. Kyle smiled faintly. He had learned that one small slip could become the start of something great. One careful action could turn failure into success. And one human, when given the chance, could inspire respect across the stars. For the first time, Kale felt that humans were truly part of the galaxy, not as weak observers but as capable, unpredictable, and valuable participants. One slip had led to recognition, challenge, and proof, and that proof would echo across the stars for generations to come. Kale straightened, ready for whatever challenge came next. One thing was clear: humans had arrived, and the galaxy would never underestimate them again. Kyle stood at the entrance of the massive council chamber, his heart pounding in his chest. He had never seen anything like this before. The room stretched wider than any building he had ever been in, with a ceiling that seemed to touch the stars. Holographic displays floated in the air, showing planetary systems, war fleets, and charts of political alliances. Delegates from countless alien species filled the chamber, each one watching him carefully. Queen Zira walked beside him, her presence commanding attention. "This is where decisions are made," she said softly. "And today, human, you will show why your kind can matter in the galaxy." Kyle nodded, trying to steady his nerves. He had proven himself on the starship, but this was different. Here it was not just about skill or repair. It was about diplomacy, perception, and the chance to change centuries of prejudice. The council members eyed him with curiosity and suspicion. Many whispered in languages Kale could not understand. A few sneered openly. Humans were rare in the galaxy, and few considered them capable of understanding alien politics or technology. But Kale remembered the Queen's words. "Humans are unpredictable. That may be your advantage." He took a deep breath as Queen Zira guided him to a central platform. Holographic panels hovered before him, displaying the repaired device and its energy flows. Kale's hands itched to demonstrate how it worked, to show that human ingenuity had turned a centuries-old machine into a vital defensive system. "Your Majesty," one delegate began, a tall, blue-skinned alien with multiple eyes. "This human claims to have repaired a device that has failed for centuries. Do you expect us to believe that?" Queen Zira's golden eyes met his. "I do. Observe, human. Speak clearly, and remember what makes your kind unique." Kale straightened. He stepped forward and began. "Honorable council members, I am Kale, a human engineer. I was given the task of repairing this device, which had not worked for centuries. Using observation, careful study, and human intuition, I was able to understand its patterns and restore its function. It is now stabilizing part of the starship's defenses." A murmur ran through the chamber. Many aliens looked skeptical, some intrigued. Kyle continued, his voice growing steadier. "This device was not just a machine to fix, it was a puzzle, designed to challenge those who approached it. It required flexibility, adaptation, and thinking beyond what was expected. Humans have an advantage in that we do not always follow tradition. We try new approaches, take risks, and find solutions in ways that are sometimes unpredictable, but effective." The council chamber grew silent. Even those who doubted him listened carefully. Kale's words were simple, but they carried weight. He did not speak in complex rhetoric or alien jargon. He spoke the truth. Humans had strengths others overlooked, strengths born from creativity, courage, and determination. A delegate from the Virelians, a reptilian species with sharp scales and a long tail, hissed in disbelief. "Unpredictable. Humans. How can we trust them with important tasks?" Kale met the Virel,